You have 2 years to accumulate big arms and some social skills in order to escape the permanent underclass. That's right, folks, the leaders in technology have ditched Soylent meal replacement shakes, have packed their bags, and have booked a one-way ticket to Gainesville and TRT Town. The squat racks are in the offices, the fridges are filled with Fairlifes, and the shelves are filled with enough processed protein-filled snacks to fill the balls of at least 7 fully grown AI researchers. As the singularity grows nearer, have the disheveled technology brothers and sisters finally realized that biceps and a good ass will allow them to stand up more than a middling exit? Will we soon be on the shores of Taiwan asking members of the People's Liberation Army how much they can bench? Is this a Gundo marketing campaign geared towards putting the hard back in hardware? Or is this yet another psyop by Big Protein to put Kylie Jenner's popcorn in FAANG offices? We will cover all of this and how we got here, this new trend of signaling you're lifting in tech, whether working out is part of 996 or not, the different Silicon Valley lifting archetypes from Pilates princesses to TRT fiends, and I'll be interviewing content god and jacked technologist Matt Palmer, Devrel at Replit, the Devrel guy, about what it's like to be a big guy at San Francisco tech parties and whether it attracts more cute Chinese women. This is the kind of analysis you will get from us, the members of the technical staff. Miranda, I have one question for you, and that is, are you concerned at all about the lack of squat racks there are about to be between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. at commercial gyms in San Francisco?
You know, I think I'm actively trying to make that problem worse because I'm working on a product to help people strength train more effectively. And that's why we have a squat rack here behind us in my office. But I also think, like, aren't the tech bros supposed to be working until 9?
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it is working out a part of 996. I mean, for me, probably not. Because
Don't you work out at 2 p.m.?
I work out at 3 p.m. actually. It's better this week. You can actually get through your workout sooner. I mean, you don't have a bunch of like skinny little twinks like trying to get the home machine, as we call it, or maybe something like the what is it called? The hip abductor.
Yes.
Right. So that's
Bad
the one.
girls.
Well, I'm not going to demonstrate it here, but it's like we can call these the home machines. I mean, I have this sort of like running thing in which the machine section actually is like the BDSM section. The reason I call it the BDSM section is because it's kind of like, if you look at the machine section from a distance, it kind of looks like a bunch of like weird sort of like pipes and chains and leather and shit. And so that's why I've just coined it as the BDSM section. That's opposed to the functional section, which is what you might have here, something that's a little bit more functional, like a squat rack, a bench press, a 45-pound barbell. I mean, we even have some like bumper plates behind us here, right? 35 pounds. Do we have any 45s back here?
No, it only goes up to 35, which is really embarrassing for me.
Trying to improve the health and wellness and no 45-pound plates. News to me.
I know.
But this actually brings us to an important point. And I want to actually start with this, because we're sort of noticing this trend. I mean, we wouldn't actually do a show, members of technical staff on lifting in tech, Yoked, Chads and Staceys in Silicon Valley, if we didn't notice something. And so there is a little bit of a trend, right? Signaling your grind set, signaling your jackedness. Mm-hmm. What do you think may be the cause of this? I know for me, it's like, okay, well, if people think that AGI is around the corner, right? If we are entering a post-work world, and it's a common theme every single fucking episode I mentioned, the post-work world, maybe we actually do need bigger arms. Maybe social capital is the thing to go after. Do you have any particular thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different varieties of tech bros who want to lift for a variety of different reasons, but I think it all comes back to signaling these like key personality traits that are associated with physical fitness, which are like discipline, self-respect, being able to work very hard at something that's not always easy or rewarding, to see this outcome. And it's a way to signal that without even having to open your mouth. So I think regardless of if you're, a Jeff Bezos who's like at the peak of his career, maybe this post-exit founder who's like ready to get super jacked in his older age thanks to TRT, or you're like a Beth or Augustus who are like wanting to signal this like Captain America, like American dynamism, we're very strong as a country, or you're an AI researcher who believes in this like post-work theory of lifting. I feel like everybody still has this like common goal of projecting a certain image.
Totally. And of course, she mentioned Beth and Augustus, a few little characters in our world. That is based Beth Bezos. That's not to be confused with Jeff Bezos.
I know, both jacked.
Who was also mentioned, actually.
Yeah.
I would argue that one is becoming more famous than the other, but I won't actually say which one is which. I actually mentioned this, right? So again, make a podcast to shill your own accounts. I was talking about this in 2023, way back in 2023.
Wow. I remember seeing an incredible video of Jaden during COVID lifting with a proper barbell in his studio apartment. It is a great video.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and like fucking edit that in post production.
Yeah. I feel like you're like an OG lifter and tech bro.
I appreciate this. I mean,
me too, dude. I wrote my college essay about powerlifting and engineering, and I got into CMU. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while too.
Yeah. No, this is good actually. I mean, like again, early to the trend once again. This is the whole point of this. So I would have mentioned, I actually tweeted this out in 2023, November 2023. I mentioned, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the sooner we have a super intelligence, the sooner you'll need big arms and some social skills. So once again, talking the book. So you mentioned Bezos, of course. He's sort of like this well-known one, right? It's like okay, he's ditched Mackenzie, or I mean maybe Mackenzie ditched him. I don't know. That's something that other people can go into.
No comment.
but now he's with this how should we call her? I don't want to like denigrate, but he's with this baddie, right?
Yeah.
And he's on the source, right?
Yes.
Clearly on the source. And I mean again, I've actually got like pictures of him here. You can see, right? I mean, like you got the before and after. Like
Crazy
this guy,
transformation.
I pulled this from the Daily Mail, and so obviously this particular shot, right? Dude's beefed, right? Dude's got he's got the bicep vein, he's got the delt vein, and of course, on the left is his like twinkness, right? You can see he's like the balding hairline. I mean, now he's just bald, but like balding is anabolic as fuck. But you can kind of you see this, and again, you see this with Zuckerberg as well, right? He's kind of gone through this whole like based transformation. He's doing jujitsu. He's smoking meats in the backyard back in 2016. But he's gone from that like weird little like smoking meats guy to okay, now he's doing jujitsu. He's walking out with like Dana White from the UFC, and I don't know, sitting against Donald Trump. I mean, what do you think is spurring this on? Like what are you like? I mean, I guess it probably comes back to the post-work world, but any thoughts on like what you think is like necessitating this change from the elites?
I think there's a lot of tailwinds like that are contributing to people wanting to be jacked now. Like I think we can expect in the next decade or several decades of our lives to see people becoming, like living longer, being stronger, eradicating diseases. There's all this amazing research in like the life sciences and health tech right now. And I feel like that's, obviously because it's what I'm building in, it's the most exciting segment of the tech market.
Talk the book.
To me.
Yeah. And it needs to be talking the book every single time.
Yeah.
No, of course. And I'm also just thinking, these are the kinds of guys that are like, they're gonna have their little private islands and they're gonna have like their little mistresses. Maybe mistress in Zuck's case is probably not correct, but Zuck's loving Asian wife, what I wouldn't give. But like they're sort of like escaping the permanent underclass. I mean, if capital doesn't matter, well, they're gonna have a lot of it, but they can also have big arms and some social skills. At least Zuck's gonna develop some. And this sort of brings me to the different lifting archetypes of Silicon Valley. Now, there's a few, and I want to sort of go through them one by one, and we can list a few. So the first one that Miranda brought up with me is the Barry's Demon. What is the Barry's Demon?
Okay, so I think that this is partially a relic of a bygone era. It like harkens back to this like 2015 Soul Cycle aesthetic and like functional fitness. I feel like in the Soylent and Huel era, like we were doing functional fitness, and now we are like fuck functional fitness, we want to get as big as possible. But I think like Barry's is a good like mix, like crossover from this. And I think that the Barry's trend, I saw a lot of it like a few years back, especially from Lucy Guo. And I feel like she would say, I only sleep 5 hours a night. I do 2 Barry's classes a day. And I know a lot of VCs and founders who have followed suit and been influenced by that. And I mean, personally, I've never taken a Barry's class.
Yeah.
But
I would be called dead taking Barry's class.
I know, I don't think I could do it. But I think it's a very interesting subculture because they really want to signal this like hardo thing, and it reminds me of like this millennial like soul cycle thing, and I think it's like it's its own niche.
Yeah, which is why Keith Raboy does it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like the Founders Fund guys, we know they love a little bit of the Barrys.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, Keith Raboy. I mean, if you're listening to this, unblock me, please. I don't I'm okay. Like I'll stop calling you a twink on the timeline. Just please unblock me. But yeah, like I mean, it's pretty well known that that Keith will take some of his VC meetings as a Barry's class.
Oh,
right? I mean, I wouldn't say pretty well known, but it's something that I've heard of. Again, take that as you wish. This is a joke. So moving on here, jacked and technical. Now I've got a few to add to the jacked and technical. Now my favorite, again, I've met the guy once, so naturally we're just best friends at this point. But Liam Fettis. Right, so previous VP of post-training at OpenAI, co-creator of ChatGPT. Funny thing about Liam and I is that the one time that we actually met at the gym and we were lifting. And I take the whole sort of like not asking what are you building so seriously that I didn't even ask this guy what he did. Anyway, it turns out he co-created fucking ChatGPT.
Crazy.
And I was just like making jokes about like killing myself in front of him because of body dysmorphia. Naturally, that's how you actually get to know somebody. But anyway, turns out he's the co-creator of ChatGPT. Wow. This guy is jacked as fuck. And so, and sure enough, he's gone ahead and raised 300 mil for periodic. Like, hey, cool, like real smart guy. Cool, you're mogging literally everyone here. Good for you, Liam. But I think he's the pinnacle of this archetype. And dude's like an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah.
So, like I'm commenting all of this stuff. Like, guy has got it absolutely sorted. Another one, Sholto Douglas, fellow Australian, right? Yeah. Right? Ex-world champion fencer. Guy's pretty jacked. I mean, I've been training with him a bunch. Like, dude's just functional, right? Like guy is like super, super functional. Another one, Torkesh.
Yeah, Dwarkesh is jacked. We were playing some frisbee in the park yesterday. dude is athletic.
Yeah, guy's on the come up. He needs to work on his calves. He knows this, but he needs to work on his calves. But don't we all?
Calves are hard. I didn't realize like this has been the most enlightening part of my recent journey into like lifting and interacting with more guys who lift. Is like I've never looked at a calf a day in my life. I didn't even know it was something that people cared about. I actually tweeted about this, and a lot of people resonated because it turns out people really care about their calves.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, you can't win the genetic lottery in every single thing. I mean, I'd like to think that I got the delts, right? I did not get the calves, right? There's a reason that I'm wearing these big Young LA. shout out Young LA if you want to sponsor the podcast, the niche San Francisco technology podcast. You can get a different channel there, Young LA, please. And so like I get these little flared pants, and of course there's a reason for that. It's because I have no calves, and so it's unfortunate, but it happens. So Dwarkesh, of course. We mentioned Jeff Bezos. We mentioned Beth Bezos, right? Yeah. So again, like probably a different kind of jack, but guy is like I have him on Instagram, right? He's a friend of mine. Dude can bench like 495, and like I don't care like what kind of physique you have. Benching 495 is a lot.
Sure.
And so this brings me to the aspiring bulker and detwinkifier.
Oh, this is my favorite. I think that this is like a fascinating thing, and I think that this is one of my favorites because like there's so much potential here. And something that I was gonna say
potential
before,
in what though, right? Potential to like I mean they're not gonna be able to raise a seed round. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like the thing is like you were saying, we can't all be like these like genetic anomalies that are like technical and jacked, and like maybe some of us, are technical jacked, but we have bad calves. Like these guys, I feel like surpass the existing jacked and technical crowd if they wanted to. I feel like these are a lot of people where like they have done the traditional nerd thing of like focusing on school, focusing on AI research, and like you don't build massive delts doing AI research, unfortunately. Who's working on that. But I think if they, start tracking macros, start like increasing that calorie intake, hitting the gym, like a push-pull legs, like we could see some really jacked researchers.
Yeah, Will Depew, dude, let me coach you. Let me put you on the plan. Like, let me get you bench pressing, dude. Like, let's detwinkify you. I mean, like your options will vest soon. Like, you're gonna have to do something. So, this is a message to Will Depew, OpenAI. Like, let me detwinkify you. Take that however you wish. And so, I think this is a good time to move into the interview with my guy, Matt Palmer. But first, let me tell you about Inference.net. So, my guys, Inference.net, they are training small models, small custom models, have it on-prem. If you are spending anywhere along the lines of $50,000 a month with OpenAI, Anthropic, Google Gemini, you probably have enough data for them to go ahead and, well, essentially make a model of yours, right? You have enough model to train a custom model of yours, cut your costs significantly, in some instances by 17 times, right? So you can go ahead and just use something like an Inference.net. An Inference.net custom trained model, right? Have all your data, right? Have it hosted yourself, have them host it for you. Go ahead and check out Inference.net.
Okay, so I'm here with my good friend of the show, Matt Palmer. So he is Devrel at Replit. You may have actually seen him doing little video tutorials on particular agentic workflows, and his account has actually been popping off with this sort of thing. What you may also not know, I mean, actually, if you actually follow his Twitter account, you might know some of this, or if you just look at the man, you might know some of this, but he actually lifts. Guy is a lifter in tech, right? He is amplifying gym bro voices in technology. Dude is jacked, and we actually met at the gym, right? We didn't actually meet on Twitter, right? The interaction goes slightly as follows. We're at a particular gym event, not to be confused with a startup event or a networking event. This is a gym event. Pretty good ratio, actually. And we ran into each other. We got talking. And then he says, "Oh, Matt Palmer." I was like, "Oh, we're actually mutuals on Twitter." And then I show him, and then, I got my little anime, weird little anonymous accounts. Like, yeah, we've actually been in this parasocial relationship for quite a while now. And so that is how our relationship got started. So I brought him on to talk about lifting and lifting in tech. So, Matt, I want to actually start off. Could you just give a brief background on your lifting career?
Absolutely. This is much better than the questions I usually get, which is, tell me where you came from, what you're building, right? It's tell me what you're lifting.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more. First, thank you, Jaden. Thanks for having me on. And I feel like Jaden calling me jacked is it's just kind of ridiculous, because if you stand next to Jaden, you're going to look small. This dude's arms are the size of my legs. So let's get that out of the way first. But
I must say, I am 5'7" though, so I've got to compensate for some things.
This is
5'7".
So I was at this is, we talk about San Francisco parties. I was at a party last night, and I'm talking to this guy who's 6'4", and he's complaining to me about how he can't squat very much. And I'm like, dude, look, short kings, this is all I got. All right, I got the squats. And nobody even notices because I'm wearing pants, right? And you're here complaining to me about looking good and being 6'4", but it is what it is. So yeah, let's talk about lifting stuff. So I've been strength training probably for 15 years at this point. So I started in high school. I played baseball most of my life, almost my entire life up until the end of college, I suppose. But I had this amazing there's amazing strength training culture in my high school. And I feel like that's kind of rare. Especially, I didn't realize you meet people sort of in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and it's rare to be exposed to a good weight room at a young age. And so I went to school in North Carolina, so in the Southeast, and it's just part of people play football, play baseball, they just lift weights, and that's what I did when I was in high school. And even if it was dumb bro science, ridiculous nonsense, which largely it was, it still built that habit and that foundation of okay, I love lifting weights, and I love hanging out with my friends, and I love just being in that environment. And through that, I had some really good coaches. Kind of got into this is where everybody can make fun of me, CrossFit at a younger age. Which at the time, I will say at the time, 10 years ago, CrossFit was actually, I guess, about 10 years ago, CrossFit was much cooler and more underground. I think it kind of turned into something else. But it was what Navy SEALs did or whatever. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I thought it was badass at the time. The whole time through high school and college, I was playing baseball. But I think what I realized was I love playing baseball. I love competing. I love, making friends with my teammates. But I just loved being in the gym. And I don't think I realized nobody else actually, especially baseball players, if you've seen any baseball players, most of them do not enjoy being in the gym. But I think through that, I gained an appreciation for the art. So from, kind of dabbling in CrossFit, moved into Olympic weightlifting, trained Olympic weightlifting for a few years. And then, competed in that kind of on and off. I was a pretty mediocre Olympic weightlifter. And then, focusing more on my career, moving to San Francisco, I was kind of looking for something that I could really enjoy and practice without a super big time investment, finding specialized equipment, like having to go to crazy gyms that are, far away, or like not being able to use chalk at a gym, or all these weird things. So kind of focus more on powerlifting. Exactly. Focus more on powerlifting, on bodybuilding. This is what I've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years, but it's kind of built on this foundation of strength training and just the enjoyment of lifting weights.
Nice, nice. Yeah, people are probably taking a look at you, and you got this nice jacket on, but what they may have not seen is this man squatting what was it, 335, 345 for a set of 15 the other day?
Okay? So actually, I beat that. I think I did 350 for it was either 340 or 350 for 16.
That's nuts. What do you weigh?
180. We're bulking. We're accumulating mass these days, but 180 recently.
Yeah. Okay, I mean it's still impressive regardless, right? I mean it's like that's a lot of weight for a lot of reps. And so I actually want to kind of piggyback a little bit off of the party point that you mentioned. So we got the background, and so now I want to get into now. How are you received at San Francisco parties as a man of size, as a man with arms? Are you ever approached by particular Asian women asking for production secrets by any chance? Are there any particular interactions that have you thinking, this is pretty cool? Like, how many straight guys come up to you and grab your arms is what I want to know.
Oh, okay. So there's two different questions here. First, I am not an anime PFP, so we have to keep this this is my job. People know who I am, so we have to keep this relatively tame. But the amazing thing, and I'll answer there are a couple points here. The amazing thing about the two things that I do, which is make videos on tech and talk about tech, and lift weights, is that 95, actually maybe more like 99% of the people that care about that are just dudes. Right. And so it's this interesting thing, I feel like, as a man, where you're like, I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to get really strong, dude. And if you've ever seen Pumping Iron, right, maybe if there's some hardcore bodybuilding fans, people are into strength training, there's this documentary about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and right, he's holding women on his biceps, right? And so as a man, I feel like it's very ingrained, right? Yeah, I watch this, I'm 15 years old, and I'm like, oh, I see, this is how the world works. This is not how the world works. What you do is you go to parties and guys come up to you and they compliment you on how many squats you can do at 315. So that's the reality of the situation, which I enjoy. I love talking about fitness.
Of course.
And and I love going to parties. So it's great, but it's funny, the people that come up to me to talk about both my videos and my squats, and I realized, what have I got? I've got myself into a 99% male audience, and that's just the situation.
It's a thing with the branding, right? I mean, I feel exactly the same way with my account. I mean, literally called Creatine Cycle. Like, how much more polarizing can I get? I mean, I check my stats, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like 95.5 on a good day, with the 95
on a
being
good day,
male audience.
But what I will say, right, and I feel like you're in a very similar camp here. Or maybe I'm reading this wrong. I was never good enough to get paid to play sports. I'm not a professional baseball player. That didn't pan out, right? I'm not a professional weightlifter, but I have been running maybe for the last year. This is kind of a part of my master plan here. Basically just a psyop. So get big in tech, backdoor to get big in strength training in tech, and now I'm the guy that lifts weights. And so, I feel like we're getting closer to that somewhat.
I think so too. I mean, and then, obviously the reason we're even talking about this is because I have simply noticed a bit of a trend, right? Obviously, there's the whole sort of health and wellness trend in tech. I mean, there has been for a little while, trying to maximize cognitive gains, right? Cognitive benefits, but there does seem to be a little more discourse along the lines of maximizing actual gains, right? This idea that maybe if you become more sociable, maybe if you become bigger, right? You get bigger arms, you'll be better suited for a post-AGI world. Are you seeing this trend at all, being boots on the ground in San Francisco? Have you noticed anything along these lines as well?
Dude, well, I've definitely noticed, I would say there is this just shift in the city more towards socializing. It's interesting, right? Because there's a dichotomy here. There's 996 people are like, I'm not drinking alcohol, and whatever. But then there's also this like counter movement of like the art of the party has been lost, right? And we need to bring that back. We need to have taste, and we need to understand what it means to socialize and what it means to, like be a human being. And I feel like with that movement, maybe I don't know if it's part of 996 or if it's part of the other side, right? But there is this like appreciation for strength training, which I haven't seen. I go to different cities. I've lived kind of all over the United States. Some places just don't care about strength training. San Francisco, honestly, is on the like more I don't care side. But in the tech community, it's like become a big thing. It's kind of funny to see, actually. I mean, I'm grateful because it's like I've been doing this for a long time, and it's really, really amazing to kind of be able to connect with people that way. But yeah, I'm seeing this like resurgence of people that care, whether it's post AGI or whether it's like now just cool to be a jacked founder. Like, I don't know, people see freaking Jeff Bezos walking out with a vest on, like looking like a total badass, or in the control room monitoring the situation. And now that's like admired, right? And separately, I've talked to some VCs, I've talked to some people that's kind of like, well, hey, if somebody's like a former athlete, or if they have the dedication to do, to be in the gym, to take care of their health and take care of their fitness, they might be competent enough to take care of a company, or competent enough to do any number of other things. So I don't know where it comes from, but that's kind of what I'm seeing, like boots on the ground, so to speak.
Reflects well. And then, of course, there you have it, folks. Two dudes in tech that go to the gym, talking their own book, saying like, oh yeah, I think like other people are probably doing this too. Yeah, it's just like a classic. I appreciate this, Matt. I think it's a good spot to wrap it up. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on Mott's here.
Amazing. I appreciate you having me.
Of course.
Okay, so it wouldn't be an episode of Members of Technical Staff without reacting to some of the greatest posts in the history of posts. And thankfully, there's been a fair few that are sort of tech adjacent plus lifting adjacent. And so we're going to start with one from Miranda Nova, who is right here. Again, get yourself a podcast to talk your own book. That is what we're going to do right now. And she says, all this to bench 135. And she is quote tweeting here. She's quote tweeting this person named Max G. And they're basically saying, we spent 20K a month to move 10x faster during YC. Here's how we spent it. And again, it's just a wall of slop. It's sort of like one of those memes where it's like, help me budget, my family's dying, right? And it's like they have $500 on rent, and then they have like 20K on the supplement stack. That's basically what this post is. And then Miranda just comes in and just absolutely bodies them, ratios them to all hell, all this to bench 135. You were on one that day. How does that feel?
I mean, I think I could probably do this as a side hustle. Like, I think that I tend to like give people a lot of engagement when we have this kind of controversy. But I think there's a really like, there's a good midwit meme here, which is like, lift heavy rock, make sad voice and head quiet. And then the middle is like 20K on supplements, like hyper optimized lifestyle, sleep score. Like, I really think that, the 80-20 of wellness is super important, and a lot of tech bros get lost in the sauce.
Totally. I mean, it's like, I think of the midwit meme or the horseshoe, or however you want to call it. I mean, I think this in regards to training in general, right? It's
100%.
like you get into training and you're like, okay, shit, well, I'm just going to do what feels good, and I'm just going to make sure I don't hurt myself. I mean, well, some people do that. Not all people do that. So I've seen man-made horrors or man-made horrors waiting to happen beyond my comprehension at some of these commercial gyms. But basically, and then you kind of get 2 years in, or maybe a year to 2 years in, and then you start watching the Jeff Nippard videos, right? You start getting into the science, right? I know I started reading what's called a forum called T Nation. That's not to be confused with Teen Asian, which would get you into real trouble. Yeah. But T Nation, so Testosterone Nation, started reading articles from coaches like Christian Thibodeau and Dr. John Russin on mobility, right? Getting like full sciencey with it. And then we come back down the horseshoe, and I've been training for 8 years. Miranda's been training for how long?
About the same, yeah.
About the same. Yeah. And it's like, it's just back to like, okay, do whatever feels good.
Yeah.
Do whatever feels good. It's like, and then I always feel like I know less and less every day.
Oh, 100%. I also feel like I lift less sometimes. Like, I feel like there's like this like curve where like you start lifting, you're like making these newbie gains, you're like, dude, I can lift so much. And then, I don't know if you went through this, but I was like, oh, my form is actually kind of like awful. Yeah. And so then I kind of like scaled it back, and I like really changed how I moved, but I like kept a lot of my exercises the same. And I feel like now I'm like like I'm like a sage, wise gym goer, but like I'm still changing things. I just feel like it's like you reach this like peaceful state where you're not like doing all this crazy shit, and like you don't really need to, you don't need to rip the Keenan flaps or whatever.
What? Yeah, that'll like where you get like the strap around.
Super optimized like lat exercise. Low key though, it kind of looks like it would feel good.
Kind of hard. It goes kind of hard. Okay, to move on here, I want to bring up a post here from Ben Heilig. Again, friend of the show. Become a friend of us to get your incriminating posts featured on a niche internet podcast. And he says, I keep track of my weightlifting PRs in GitHub. So I have to make a PR for my PRs. And it's a screenshot of a markdown file. So that is lifts.md. And he's actually got his bench press numbers. So the weight, right? He's gone from 215 to 225, reps 5. Of course, that is the metric. That is the benchmark, right? Mm-hmm. This is not to be confused with some sort of like AI slot benchmark. The benchmark for the male, right? For the male is 225 for reps. He's hit that benchmark. He's hitting it for 5 reps. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Overhead press, right? He's gone from 135 to 140. Now, overhead press, if we're thinking a standing overhead press, is my worst lift. It hurts.
Me too. And we both have like really good shoulders. So
if we say so ourselves, fucking hell. Yeah. Props to you, Ben. Props to you, Ben. Keep this going. We'll go ahead and get a lift in soon.
I like to imagine his co-pilot just being like reviewing the PR and being like, dude, this lift fucking sucks.
Getting absolutely destroyed from like the LLMs just have like this snarky tone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised that Avi's like friend is the tone that it is. I mean, like you can get that tone out of Claude.
Yeah.
Right. You can get that tone out of ChatGPT, right? For whatever reason, like you ask it to do something funny, it's going to be snarky. And so the last thing that I want to do is put anything that could trigger my body dysmorphia into one of these LLMs. I mean, it would make me probably want to end it all, quite frankly. But moving on here, we've got so Max G, so who Miranda was quote tweeting just a bit ago. He's also got this other post, and it says 9 days before YC demo day. Today we lifted heavy, and of course on the bar he's got 135. So now that I think about it, again, I'm curious as to your thoughts. Rage bait or just complete ignorance?
Okay, the expense of this maybe being a little controversial, like I can't tell if they're just European and like this is just like
they're at the Bay Club.
Because I feel like this is just like it's like at that point, which is good rage bait this is textbook, because it's like it's at that point where it's like it could be rage bait, but it also totally could be real.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what to think like at all here, but I mean I totally took the rage bait and like my post did well, so thanks for the engagement, guys.
Yeah, that is the thing, right? I mean, as long as you understand that it is rage bait and you go ahead, right, you kind of enter this sort of like almost like mutually agreed transaction, which, okay, I'm rage baiting, I want you to react to it. Mm-hmm. If you react to it, you're giving me engagement, but if you actually do a good reaction to it, well, it's actually just going to be like you enter that transaction and it ends up working out. And so moving on here, we've got one last post that I wanted to bring up. This is from Redacted Rain. Quite different. And he says, nice 500-pound squat, bro. She let me hit because I do not like her.
I mean, I feel like that sums up like what I would imagine the like man in tech experience to be for a lot of people. I feel like, I mean, I think you've like used this format a lot, and I think it's like, it's very true. Like the more and more you go to the gym, maybe the more and more critical you become, or like the higher their standards are for yourself. And I think it's funny because like my experience has been completely different. I think because there's such a like gender imbalance with people who lift, which is changing. Like so great that more women are getting into strength training, but I think like the more I lift, it's like guys are like, oh, that's sick. Yeah. But I feel like for guys, like the more they lift, the more it like alienates them from a lot of like women, unfortunately.
Yeah, I haven't felt the touch of a woman in 8 years. But I mean, it's like one of those things where my ex probably would have stayed if I had bigger arms. And so that is sort of what we're trying to achieve here. Before we wrap this up, I just wanted to make an ode to the current thing, and that is dropping out of Y Combinator. Now, It's interesting. We're kind of going through to new lengths of LinkedIn slop, like new lengths of signaling your grind set, new lengths of signaling 996, whatever that might mean. I mean, of course, we've been talking lifting this whole time, and so it kind of ties in with that 996 signaling your grind set, but dropping out of YC. Now, this went super viral yesterday. Since been taken down because I think, it ended up being a little bit distasteful. But what else are we going to drop out of here? I mean, I mentioned like dropping out of the Thiel Fellowship to go back to college, for example. Or, dropping out of YC to go back to Stanford. How contrarian can we get with this?
Dude, I think it's amazing that there are just teams of very well-funded startups in WeWork conference rooms across the city debating intensely, like, what is the best way to signal 996 without saying 996 because it's too played out now. Like Mercor did that, they capitalized, but everybody's like trying to innovate on this 996 thing, and I think we're going to see some fascinating, like, what I dropped out of, or like, the working 24 hours a day thing that went viral, where he was like, oh, one of my portcos taught themselves to lucid dream so they could work at night, which, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
This is the real innovation coming out of Silicon Valley right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, whenever somebody posts like these like LinkedIn style slop posts, I just think to myself, I wonder who in their right mind was just like they wrote it and they were like, fuck yeah, this is sick, I'm gonna post it.
No, I know. I think it's interesting though, because I do think it's like something that like a lot of strategic resources go towards. Like there's like building, talk to customers, and like signal to investors that you're working really hard, or like the core roles in an early stage startup.
Yeah, I mean, like we kind of mentioned a couple of episodes ago, if you can successfully signal your grind set, it ends up being like okay for hiring, okay for investing. Is it gonna do well on the timeline? Well, it depends. It depends if you want to be ratioed or not. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up there. We'll see you guys again on the timeline real soon.